I'm a 28-year-old woman, and my brother, who's 30, has always been the golden child in our family. It felt like he could do no wrong in our parents' eyes. My arrival was an accident. They hadn't planned for me and weren't thrilled to have a girl. Growing up, I sensed that they never really wanted a daughter, and my fussy nature as a baby only made it worse, frustrating my mom to no end. Meanwhile, my brother got all the attention and love as if he could walk on water. My brother didn't like me much either. He was always the kind of kid who could charm adults, and he used this to his advantage by lying about me whenever he could. If he stole something or broke a rule, he'd blame me, and our parents believed him without question. They didn't want to hear my side of the story. It felt like they saw me as the troublemaker, and him as the shining star. He also went out of his way to sabotage my relationships, bullying me until I felt utterly alone and miserable. Even worse, he manipulated my friends to turn them against me. The friends I thought I could rely on suddenly wanted nothing to do with me after he spread rumors about me. My parents always took his side, no matter what, and I felt like I was fighting an uphill battle that I would never win. It felt like the only solution was to leave home as soon as I could, so I worked hard and got a scholarship to go to college in another city. Meanwhile, my brother stayed in our hometown. He rented a place near my parents, and they paid for everything. They completely stopped reaching out to me, and the family group chat only had messages praising my brother for his achievements. Not once did they ask how I was doing or offer me any support. I had to make it on my own, while he got everything handed to him on a silver platter. They never sent me money, encouragement, or even a simple hello. After graduating, I moved to another state and eventually got married. I invited my family to the wedding, but they didn't bother showing up. It stung that they couldn't make time for such an important event in my life. Now, I'm expecting my second baby, and my husband's family has been a great support system for me. They've welcomed me with open arms and helped fill that void that my own family left. My parents are deeply rooted in traditional values, believing that the man should always be the head of the household and that the family name must be carried on through blood descendants. When my brother came out, they were absolutely shocked. They couldn't believe their perfect son was not going to provide them with the heirs they expected. They're obsessed with keeping the family line going, and this news really shook them. Despite all this, my husband's family continues to be amazing. They've helped me realize that not all families are like mine. It's been a healing journey, but I've finally found a place where I can feel loved and supported, even if it's not from the people I expected it from. So my kids and I will have my husband's last name, which isn't my family's name. My parents only accept family members who have been born into a proper marriage, meaning they won't consider adoption as an option for keeping the family line going. Out of nowhere, my brother recently contacted me, and here's why. My parents are threatening to cut him off financially. He's never had a real job and relies on their money to live. They told him that if he doesn't fix his relationship with me, they'll stop giving him money. Why? Because they want to reconnect with me so they can be close to my children, even though I haven't been on good terms with them for years. My brother is a big reason why I distanced myself from my family. Growing up, he bullied me, lied about me, and turned our parents against me. Although he's not the only one to blame, he's a big part of why I've cut ties with my family. He's now trying to make things right so our parents don't disown him, but I'm not interested in letting them back into my life just so they can claim my kids as their grandkids. My brother isn't the only reason I'm distant from my family. I also blame my parents. They always favored him, even when he was lying and making things difficult for me. Recently, my brother flew out to see me and cried a lot, saying that the reason he bullied me so much was because he was stressed out from hiding his sexuality. He claimed that being in the closet made him lash out at me. I listened, and then I told him to buzz off. My family is dead to me, and I don't care about him or his excuses. Now he's saying that I'm petty and that I'm willing to ruin an adult's life over things that happened in childhood. But I'm not letting my family back into my life just so my parents can use me and my kids as a backup source of blood-related grandchildren. They've always adored my brother, their golden child. But now that he hasn't met their expectations, they want to rely on me and my children instead. I'm not going to be their backup plan just because their favorite son has disappointed them. So am I the idiot for not forgiving my brother and forcing parents to disown him? Edit. My parents also want my future baby. I'm pregnant to carry the family surname. Now for the top comments. You are not forcing anyone to do anything. You're leaving them to the consequences of their behavior and choices. And your brother's orientation is irrelevant to your side of the story, not the idiot. Your parents have serious problems. That's not your problem. If anything, you can just recommend him to see a therapist because he needs one. Queer here. You are not the idiot Opie. Your brother is an idiot in so many ways, but his phobia claim is one I want to highlight. Yes, you told him to buzz off because he treated you terribly and didn't see any reason to be in your life until he needed something. That something being you and your family, having contact with your wildly toxic parents. Frankly, I don't care if it really was just the stress of being closeted. Had him acting that way, which I don't buy at all. That doesn't justify anything. If he calls you names but not accepting his non-apology again, laugh in his face as you shut the door on it. You don't owe him nor your parents a darn thing. Do what you need to make sure they stay the heck away and enjoy the beautiful family you made away from them. I agree OP cut him and the parents out of her life way before he came out. Cut all those losers out. You don't need them in that toxicity. She made his bed becoming overly dependent on his parents, and now he has to lay on it. Considering the dude is 30, being disowned shouldn't be a major problem, as he should be able to stand on his own 2 feet by now. He didn't even come to your wedding. LOL, nothing about their relationship with you was changed. And even though they are now coming to you, it's very obvious that they still only care about themselves. Let the family name die out. People like that aren't worthy of a legacy. Story 2. So I've got a little baby at home and I've just started letting friends and family come over to visit. My best friend wanted to drop by, and since I knew she planned on holding my baby, I sent her a message saying she should consider wearing a bra or a thicker shirt. Why? Because my little one likes to grab things, and she told me before that her nipple piercings are super sensitive. I just wanted to give her a heads up because the baby's got quite a grip. She ignored my message and showed up anyway, wearing a pretty thin shirt with her piercings clearly visible. My baby was already staring at her chest, fingers ready to grab, so I offered her a sweater to cover up a little. She looked at me like I was crazy and said I was insulting her breasts by even suggesting she put something over them. I tried to explain that wasn't what I meant, but she didn't want to listen. I still asked if she wanted to hold the baby, and she grabbed him from me. Not 5 minutes later, my baby had latched onto her piercing, and she screamed out in pain as she tried to pull him away. I calmly reminded her that's why I suggested wearing a bra in the first place. That just made her even angrier, and she told me, "No, you said that because you're a misogynist." I was totally confused, and she left in a huff. She's been telling our friends that I insulted her breasts and wanted her to wear a bra or cover up because I didn't want her around. But that's not at all what happened. Am I missing something? I feel like her reaction is uncalled for. Am I the idiot? Edit. Amid our arguing, she suggested that I should teach my son not to grab nipples. He's just a baby. Story 3. My wife is 5 months pregnant. As of now, this baby is technically our second because she lost the first one. The problem is that my wife is constantly angry, anxious, or moody. Not normal hormonal moodiness that arises from pregnancy, but a tad bit extreme version of it. I don't know if it's a subset of our previous pregnancy loss. She sees a therapist, but she continues along her way. I've also spoken to her again and she mentions it could be past trauma from loss or outbursts due to hormones. However, there's always something she finds fault in after I come back from my 10-hour work shift. The tiredness aside, she would start trivial arguments, even about things like me buying the wrong shape of carrots, or if I switched to my TV channel to relax, even though she wasn't watching it in the first place. A few times a month is understandable, but this happening every day is taking a toll on me. She constantly says absent-minded things like quit work or take loans for now and stay with me. And while I would love that, who will pay the bills and who's going to repay the loans? I'm losing sleep and getting more annoyed as the days go by. She also has insomnia and unnecessarily keeps me awake by pestering me about whatever will become with the health of our baby, which makes me scared too and makes me overthink, be awake for the whole night. I reassure her that everything will be all right, but somehow she just gets even angrier. She also leaves around 60 to 90 missed calls a day while I'm at work, or especially when I'm at meetings. So in seeing all this, I realize that she requires constant companionship to guide us through this pregnancy. So I called up her mother and father and gently requested they temporarily look after my wife for the time being. They're both retired and happily agreed to take my wife in. However, why don't we sold my wife? She took it as me, absolving myself of responsibility, even though I planned to call her every day and visit for the weekends. She's calling me an idiot for entrusting her with her parents. Although personally, it seems like I'm doing her a favor to combat her loneliness and get guidance from appearance. Am I the idiot here for killing 2 birds with 1 stone and having peace of mind and ensuring her needs are taken care of by having her parents take over her care? Now for the top comments. I'm going to say no to the idiot, but 60 to 90 calls a day and the other behaviors you describe are way beyond normal anxiety and into needs intervention. Something is very, very wrong, and she needs help that I doubt her parents are qualified to give. I'm not saying that staying with them isn't an option to give you the space and sanity you need to continue being the sole breadwinner, but it can't be the only response. I agree that her parents aren't qualified to get her 100% of the help she needs, but sometimes just the presence of supportive people nearby can be a positive help when going through an episode like that. She's alone for 10 plus hours a day when staying with her husband, and that's just not the best environment for her, considering her anxiety, trauma, and needs as a pregnant, soon-to-be mom. Not likely. She's pregnant. Hormones play a huge part in depression. She needs a doctor. It's not likely going to be a parent's will to do anything positive, especially since she doesn't want to go. I would talk to her therapist and OBGYNs and let them know the extent of her behavior. 60 to 90 calls a day and begging you to quit your job to stay with her while also picking nonstop fights and keeping your weight. That's not hormones. That's a mental health crisis. Shame on her therapist and gyno for not being more proactive and saying, hey, this could be prepartum depression, pregnancy psychosis, or a trauma response. Here are some options. I think the first step is getting her parents to visit and getting her counselor a little more involved or replaced. This could easily devolve into a serious situation extremely quickly. Maybe another option would be to have her parents stay with you all and tag team with her. I could see more eyes being better than the current situation, or shipping her to her parents. Story 4. I, 25 female, have been with my boyfriend 30 for over a year. He has a best friend who's always around. This guy is from another country and has no friends. He does have a wife and a kid though. You spend every weekend with this guy for the past month. He invites me, but I'm so tired of him that I don't come. The guy is also an idiot. He constantly makes jokes and talks about my boobs. He's very misogynistic, so I don't like to be around him. I still do sometimes for my boyfriend. He's told him several times, I hate those jokes and I've done it too. Now the problem is we had a few days off and decided to go to my boyfriend's parents' house in the mountains. They're visiting his sister in a different state. So we decided to go, and some of his family members are coming too. I know a couple of them, but people from all places are coming too, and it's my first time meeting them. But his friend is a place about an hour away from here with his wife and kid. He said he wanted to come over and his wife got mad and said no, so he planned to leave them alone at the beach and come here. I told my boyfriend I didn't want it either, and I wanted for once to be free of his stupid friend and just be us. Well, he still said he was coming. His wife got furious and decided to go back to the city. My boyfriend family isn't here yet, so I told his wife that I would leave with her when she came to drop him off. Since I came in my boyfriend's car, my boyfriend got extremely mad that I left with her and couldn't stay to meet his family. I said that I was tired of him and his friend, and I would reconsider the relationship because if we get married, he might bring his friend over to our honeymoon, the delivery room, etc. He's been blowing up my phone with messages, calling me immature and selfish, and his family was excited to meet me. I'm ignoring him, but I'm questioning if maybe I was wrong. Am I the idiot for leaving? Should I go back? Story 5. We had some financial setbacks, and we're in a bad spot. So my husband approached mother-in-law about staying with her to get back on our feet. That was a hard step for me, and I know it was mega generous on her end. Mother-in-law's house is huge, is like 4 or 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a home gym, and an art studio. So I thought we could make it work. My kids have been waiting mother-in-law up. I'm doing everything to keep them quiet. But with a baby and a toddler, that sometimes feels impossible. A mother-in-law likes to sleep until 9:30, usually closer to 10. At first I thought awful when we woke her up, but lately she's been crying over how sleep-deprived she is despite getting over 8 hours a night. Also, her fake crying is just bad. It doesn't produce tears. Mother-in-law's husband has been getting very concerned about the crying because in general she rarely cries. It's become this routine of him comforting her every morning while glaring daggers at me. It's affected how he treats me, and he's beginning to get very rude. He's also been bribing mother-in-law with various stuff together to stop crying. I sat down and tried to talk it out with mother-in-law. I said as nicely as possible that she and her husband have a lifestyle that doesn't match up with 99% of people. She's never worked. He doesn't really work. Maybe a few days a month. And that I know she always has had the freedom to do whatever she wanted. Still, I have 2 little babies and I'm trying. My best mother-in-law said that she got started at the moment, but when she wakes up, she's just angry. She admitted that it was worse on me than on her and said it was fine. Well, the next morning, mother-in-law came down clearly angry, but didn't start with the fake tears until her husband got up. He immediately gave me a death stare and began hugging her and comforting her. I finally snapped that this was ridiculous. She's crying about not being able to sleep until 10, as if that's a normal need. and he does need to stop coddling her because he is the reason she continues to fake cry. Mother-in-law got mad and said, I know she has dry eyes and that's why she doesn't produce tears. She does need eye drops sometimes. But come on, she said, how dare I yell at her in her own house? And maybe I'm mad because my husband wouldn't come for me. But that's my problem. Last story. My parents won't attend my wedding. In 2021, fresh out of college, I moved to a new state for a job. Facing high rent, the Scotts, family friends of my parents, offered me their guest house for a mere $300 a month. Little did I know, this seemingly sweet deal would lead to a year of turmoil. The Scotts, longtime friends and business partners of my parents, had 3 kids. As soon as I settled in, the Scotts became excessively involved in my personal life, particularly my relationship. The situation took a dark turn as they fabricated scenarios to my parents, accusing me of promiscuity, rarely being home, and even planning to secretly move in with my boyfriend. Their disdain for my boyfriend was palpable, treating him with passive aggression, condescension, and even making derogatory comments about him being adopted. The interference escalated with family meetings, where they labeled me as a poor influence on their teenage daughter, criticizing my boyfriend, whom they had met only 3 times. And I have to add, my BF and I don't drink or smoke and both have careers. My BF is a perfectly good man and was always respectful to them despite their poor treatment. The dad of the Scott family went to the extent of sharing his marriage problems and lack of a sex life, blurring the boundaries of landlord-tenant/inappropriate relationships. The breaking point came when the fridge in the guest house broke, and they insisted I foot the bill for a $900 replacement. Their influence over my parents was significant, as my parents rarely had my back and sided with the Scotts, constantly belittling my boyfriend without reason. By the end of 2022, I decided to move out with some girlfriends of mine, leaving without saying goodbye to avoid further confrontation. Fast forward to the summer of 2023, my boyfriend and I were living together in a new state, and he proposed. To my surprise, when he asked my parents for their blessings, they were supportive and enthusiastic. My parents were even flown out to witness our engagement. As we delved into wedding planning in the fall of 2023, my fiance's parents generously offered to finance the wedding. Strangely, my mother declined involvement in the planning, claiming she hated it. Despite repeated invitations from myself and my future mother-in-law, she insisted we handle everything on our own, a departure from the typical involvement of the mother of the bride. My MIL did fly my mom out to NY for wedding dress shopping, which was fun, but my mother insisted on the trip that this was all she wanted to do. Winter 2023 brought a text from my dad, urging me to invite the Scotts. I respectfully declined, citing the distress it would cause me on our special day. This refusal triggered a nuclear war within the family. My parents, adamant about the Scotts' inclusion, declared they wouldn't attend the wedding. My dad accused me of starting my happy life by destroying his, and my mother uninvited me to Christmas. In attempts to salvage the situation, I apologized and tried to explain my decision. However, my parents were unreceptive, hurling insults and baseless accusations claiming my side of the family has been canceled. My mother then flipped the scripted and threatened to expose details on social media of my disrespect to the family if I didn't show up for Christmas. Despite exchanging Christmas and birthday greetings via text, I've not spoken to them about the situation. The pain of their absence and the harsh words lingers as I approach my wedding day. I'm confused. I'm guilty. I'm in pain. The fallout. All because I refused to invite the Scotts. OOP added an edit to the original post. Thank you, you French kissy toast, for letting me know about it. Edit. We are having a destination wedding and the festivities will begin 3 days prior to the wedding. So if caved in and invited the Scotts, I would have to endure up to 4 days of them. I don't want to walk around the resort and turn around and have to see them and instantly get into a bad mood. Also, I am afraid if my parents decide to show up without the Scotts, that they will cause drama. Update. Context from my original post. At 24F, I find myself in a heartbreaking situation. My parents won't be at my wedding. The reason? I refuse to invite their friends. Update. I woke up this morning to a bunch of texts from my mother. She demanded that I end my engagement, cancel the wedding, quit my job, and move back to their home. She started saying things like, I know you're unhappy. It's okay. You tried. Now it's time to come home. You have some maturing you need to do. This irks me so much. My parents literally gave their blessings for my marriage 6 months ago. Now they want me to change my entire life because they're mad they didn't get their way. I responded and said, "This is my life, and if they don't want to respect my decisions, that's on them." But I am in utter shock. I am financially independent of my family. I have a great job, loving partner. How do end parents come up with this shit? Update 2. Long story. 3 months have passed since my parents declined attending my wedding. Initially, I found peace and acceptance, looking forward to celebrating with those who would be present and knowing my parents wouldn't be there to ruin it. However, a text from my younger brother, 19M, shattered that peace, revealing that our parents threatened to kick him out of the house and abandon him financially if he attends my wedding. This utterly crushed me. I am so close with my brothers and I love them dearly. I have 3 brothers aged 19, 22, and 27. While my older brother lives independently, my 2 younger siblings still live with our parents. Despite my parents' decision to not come to the wedding, I told my brothers how badly I want them to attend, assuring them of my support. After their shared support, I booked their travel, optimistic about their participation. I was naive to believe our parents would accept this decision. Their subsequent outburst targeted my brothers, leveraging financial threats to dissuade them from attending, claiming they are betraying the family by supporting me. I offered to financially assist my brothers if they still want to attend, knowing they'd get kicked out, but I realized the difficulty of abandoning familiarity. In response to this outburst, my brothers called me and proposed an intervention, aiming to address broader familial issues, aka the bigger picture of my parents being abusive. I tried my best to explain this was a bad idea, I pleaded. Despite my reservations, I supported them via phone call. I felt I was bound by sibling loyalty. Yesterday's call confirmed my fears. Amidst vile accusations, I endured personal attacks, ranging from insults against my fiancé to baseless critiques of our life choices. My father's tirade, marked by verbal abuse, culminated in a cruel dismissal of my feelings. Here are a few notes I took during the 2-hour intervention. My fiancé is not an intellectual because he likes to snowboard and doesn't know how to have intellectual conversations. 2. My fiancé doesn't have royal or noble blood and therefore cannot have intelligent children. 3. It was rude for my fiancé to not bring flowers or wine when he flew from another state for the day to ask for my hand in marriage. 4. My decision to change my job and move to a new state with my fiancé is a manipulation tactic. 5. My dad said calling people names and insults is the right thing to do when you're mad. 6. My dad said my decision to change my career path is stupid and I am cutting him out of his life. 7. Thinks my fiancé's job as a salesman makes him a loser. 8. My parents are mad I never offered to invite my uncle that I haven't seen in 13 years who lives in Russia. Literal WTF moment for me. 9. My dad says my relationship is wrong and he's not happy about it. Says it would be smart to break up. 10. My dad says he regrets not punching my fiancé in the face when he asked for his blessings and says it will haunt him for the rest of his life that he didn't punch him. Says the only reason he gave his blessings was to not hurt my feelings. 11. Says my fiancé's parents are mean for not responding to their texts. 12. Called my fiancé's mom a bitch. 13. Said everyone at my engagement party is unintellectual and a redneck, and that they were shocked at the crowd I've decided to live around. 14. The last minute of the call consisted of my dad screaming at the top of his lungs that I am stupid, an idiot, dumb, and a bitch. I started hysterically crying at this point. I felt like a little girl again. 15. He called me a liar when I explained all the horrible things his friends did to me and why I didn't want to invite them to the wedding. He even called me a liar when I explained that his friend, 70EM, would try to talk about his sex life with me. 16. Crying. I explained to my dad, I just wish you cared about my feelings too, because I am also really hurt, and just want you to understand my perspective. He said, why the fuck should I care about your feelings? You don't respect me, my friends, or my values. Fuck your feelings, you stupid bitch. I ended the call right there. After the call, my brother said they will still be attending my wedding because this has become an issue of standing up to my father's unacceptable behavior. Despite my brother's attempts at defense, we were outmatched by our father's narcissism. Enduring the call was agonizing, yet crucial for my siblings to witness his true nature. Gaslit and invalidated, I feel so dehumanized. I never thought I would someday block my parents. Today marks day 1 of going no contact. TLDR, my parents threatened to kick my youngest brother, 19M, out of the house if he attends my wedding. My brothers, 19, 22, and 27, decided to host an intervention that blew up in all of our faces as we were no match for my father's narcissism. Now I've blocked my parents and the fate of my brothers attending my wedding is unknown. Final update. My parents won't attend my wedding. I got married. I got married on Friday, a day filled with joy, yet marked by the absence of my parents and 2 of my brothers. I made the decision to cut off contact with my parents last month, a choice that has since been affirmed, as you'll soon understand. Despite the absence of my two younger brothers, my older brother stood by me, walking me down the aisle. This unexpected turn of events brought us closer than ever, a silver lining among all the drama and heartbreak. My wedding day was pure magic, absolutely no drama or stress. It was truly the best day of my life, and I have never felt so much love for my husband. My husband literally makes all my anxiety disappear. Of course, there were fleeting moments of vulnerability, tears shed in private to my husband as emotions overwhelmed me. Yet despite the ache of my brother's absence and lapses of guilt over my parents, the week was nothing short of perfection. I am truly blessed. The day after the ceremony, over breakfast with my husband and older brother, I learned that my parents had been incessantly trying to reach out to my brother. My bro and husband shielded this information from me to not upset me during the week. However, my curiosity got the better of me, and I insisted on asking my brother to see what my parents said to him. What I read shook me to the core. My brother texted, "She will never forgive you for this, and our entire family will never be the same." Her response, "Forgive us? She betrayed the family. She has gone completely insane. This sinister family has completely changed her values, and they have been grooming her for 3 years. She's making a huge mistake by marrying. Glad you guys are so close again." Asterisk sinister family being my in-laws. My mother's venomous words confirmed what I had been grappling with, their belief in their distorted reality. The guilt I had been carrying evaporated in an instant. I realized that my overwhelming happiness with my husband would never be enough for them. I refused to be held hostage by their misery any longer. You cannot change someone who just wants to be fucking miserable for the rest of their lives. Here's where things become laughable. I blocked the Scott's wife on Instagram so she wouldn't see my wedding photos. Mr. Scott, in response, sent a giant text accusing me of being abusive to his wife and children, despite not having seen or spoken to them in over a year. He then said that he will no longer support me, and if I get a divorce, he won't be there for me. I promptly blocked him, refusing to entertain such a stupid message. P.S. I thought he was blocked already. I am excited to start this new chapter in my life, and I am thankful for the support and courage this Reddit community has given me. Here's to a future free from the toxic grip of my past.